Hurricane Erin. It is churning hundreds of miles off the East Coast right now, but driving home the force and the fury of a sprawling storm. Right now, we're getting the latest updates on how strong this storm is and where it is actually heading right now. We'll have all of that coming up in just a moment, but already some of the images that we're seeing are remarkable.
Here you can see dangerous surf crashing into the Outer Banks of North Carolina and threatening oceanfront homes. Also, dozens of swimmers and surfers needed to be rescued from those treacherous rip currents. And in North Carolina, the worst is yet to come. So let's begin with CNN national correspondent Diane Gallagher. She is on Pea Island, which is part of the Outer Banks. Tell us what you're seeing there, Diane.
Yeah, Pamela, I think you can see behind me exactly what's going on. These are these preparations trying to ensure that they protect the area from what is expected to be significant storm surge, large waves coming as Hurricane Erin passes by the Outer Banks. Now, we're on Pea Island. This is a wildlife refuge. This is not where people live. It is in between several residence islands, though. And so the issue here and why you see these dump trucks, these construction vehicles moving the sand and fortifying these dunes here. The ocean is on that side. The Sound is on this side. In between here is Highway 12. It looks like a regular old road, except this is the only road that connects the 200 miles or so of the Outer Banks. These are very narrow geographic areas. We're talking about 3.5 miles at the widest point, about 150 yards at the most narrow, all connected by NC 12, many of these on bridges. And that's the big concern for a lot of emergency officials right now, saying, look, they want people to stay out of those dangerous rip currents, of course. They know that there is potential damage to property that could come here, but they also worry about if this highway is damaged or becomes impassable, which has happened in past storms, they may not be able to get to people for rescues, or people just can't get out for up to a week, they're warning. So there are 3 mandatory evacuations: Ocracoke Island, Hatteras Island, and an area up in Currituck County. But the others have just been voluntary, basically saying, look, if you want to get out, you should get out. Just know if Highway 12 is busted up, we may not be able to get to you.
All right, Diane Gallagher, important information there. Thanks so much, Wolf.
And just minutes ago, the governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein, issued a warning for residents along the coast. Listen.
The storm remains dangerous and is already impacting lots of people here in North Carolina. Folks on the coast need to take care. Based on the current forecast, we are anticipating coastal flooding from massive waves, tropical storm force winds, and tidal and storm surge for much of the state shoreline, especially the Outer Banks, from this evening through Thursday.
The National Hurricane Center has just provided a new update on Hurricane Erin. CNN meteorologist Allison Chinchar is joining us with the latest update. Allison, what do you know?
Right, so we know that the storm has actually strengthened. Per this last update, the sustained winds have now increased up to 110 miles per hour. That is just shy of a Category 3 hurricane, meaning it's very close to major hurricane status, and it's expected to strengthen some more. So images like this that you can see behind me of North Carolina, of all that water surging in, is likely only going to get worse in the coming hours as that storm gets closer and closer to shore, and it is expected to do just that. Again, as we mentioned, sustained winds now up to 110 miles per hour. You can see it's really developed a rather good eye right there. That is oftentimes a sign of strengthening, and we have seen it do so. Here again, another look, but from the visible satellite, where you can see that eye wall really starting to try to open up as best it can. It's in very warm water right now. So the Hurricane Center saying, look, we do anticipate that it will get back up to a major hurricane here and likely in the next 24 hours as it slides between Bermuda and the U.S. East Coast. Both of those areas do have tropical storm watches and warnings in effect in anticipation of all of these impacts that are expected from the storm. That includes very gusty winds, 50, 60, even as much as 70 or 75 mile per hour wind gusts, not out of the question. Not only does that take things like trees and power lines, it could potentially knock them down. It also takes all of that water that's over the ocean and pushes it on shore. So that's going to be one of the concerns, high surf, but also rip currents. And notice this is pretty much up and down the entire eastern seaboard. So even if you don't say live in North Carolina, you live in Maryland, New Jersey, Massachusetts, doesn't matter. You still have the potential for rip currents over the next 48 hours.
Yeah. I think
Good point. Let's not forget Delaware, too. Rehoboth, Delaware, potentially could have some serious problems. Allison Chinchara, thank you very, very much.